Okay, folks, this will be an interesting one. A lot of teenagers, I think, tweens, between children and childhood and adolescence, or childhood and teenage years. Yeah, the latter part of childhood, I guess. See if we can make this come up looking interesting. I don't know how big it is. I'm going to just hold off. Okay, let's see what this is. It is some kind of tin, a tweens, young childhood, between teenage or adolescence and childhood. This tin, so this really colourful tin that features all sorts of cliche phrases and shit. And yeah. So I think that's going to be 141.4, and the vertical is going to be a little bit less than 200, more than 200 actually. It's hard to try and position this nice and straight. But basically, there's one thing I hate about this design is the OMG. My mum, it's a bit of a story behind it. My mum, she was never what you'd call religious. She was never religious, but she did tell me something when I was a kid, and it stuck. And she told me not to use God's name in vain. And she just basically made sure that I didn't do that. But the funny thing is, the kicker is, she was not religious. She's not a religious person. My mother was not religious. But she somehow, maybe her mum taught her that, I don't know. Maybe there was a bit of religion in mum's family, I don't know. But basically, yeah, she told me that, not to do that. So to me this is offensive because basically I was taught that as a child. It was a part of my upbringing not to say things like that. I know OMG wasn't there in those days, but we still had other ways people used to use God's name, either as a profanity or a surprise or an exclamation of surprise. But basically, my mum taught me that, and she also, oddly enough, had me christened. I don't know how old I was when I was christened. I think I always had the idea that it was when I was still a baby. So I was christened, and I was told not to use God's name in vain. I don't know what was going on with my mum all those years, but she certainly isn't religious now. I don't get it. Why my mum had me christened. She had me christened and she wasn't even a religious person. That's really odd. I'm okay about it. I'm not offended. Anyway, we're going to use this as our master copy to make into a movement piece. So we're going to make this look really interesting. But yeah, it's just what depends on how you're brought up, folks. I was also brought up not to litter, and I don't like littering. So it's the same as being brought up not to litter. It just sticks. It sticks in your head. You don't want to litter because you've been brought up so young not to litter. Both parents, I'm sure, brought me up that way. Anyway, that looks really quite interesting. But why my mum told me not to do that, and why she had me christened. Well, you could say it's a bit of a mystery, but strange things do happen in this world. But the word BFF I've embraced because I'm trying to get in touch with a lost partner. His name is Luigi, and I want to marry him. And without being close physically in each other's company, I still feel a connection to my partner, and I feel like he's my BFF, best friend forever, which is what BFF means on this. Where did I put the tin? It's up there. It's on there. But yeah, BFF, best friends forever. And Luigi and I feel that way. I feel a close connection to my beautiful man who I lost when I was young. I really love him, and I know he still loves me. There is a spiritual connection between me and my partner. Even though I fell in love with him just over 10 years ago, and I still haven't got in touch with him. I'm trying to get this stuff to go on television, on the primetime news, with the hope that I'll be able to locate where he is. Just like a lot of lost people found, or that it's been documented on the news, but I have to find him somehow, put the word out. Okay, out it comes this colourful piece of tween language. Okay, that's come up looking quite interesting. I do wonder if maybe that could be the centre of the job. It's got a nice three-dimensional feel to it. I just don't want to go without it if it's anything that it could be. Might look better, I do think it will, with this. Yeah, BFF, best friend forever. That's Luigi and I. And if I can get the TV channels interested in this material, and if I can find Luigi, I'll be grateful for the television channels for the rest of my days. I think that looks really quite nice. I think now we can call it quits.